Okay, we're going to start this meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Adequate notice of this meeting was advertised in the Asbury Park Press on June 2nd, 2025, and by posting the notice at the district website in the Forked River Post Office and Lenoka Harbor Post Office, and by filing a copy of the notice with the Lacey Township Clerk, as required by the Open Public Meeting Act. Roll call, please.
Mr. Armato.
Present.
Mr. Peters. Absent. Mr. Bell.
Here.
Mrs. Armato.
Here.
Mrs. Walker.
Here.
Mr. Conity.
Here.
And Mrs. Claus.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to start with the report of the superintendent, Mr. Zielinski.
Okay, welcome everybody. Maybe third time's a charm. We'll talk a little bit tonight about our amended final budget presentation. This will be a very brief presentation. Those of you who have been here many a time, I've omitted some of the cursory slides and we just have the facts. Okay, of what we're going to present tonight. It will be presented to the Board of Education for a vote towards the end of the evening. So I will move a little quickly. The seasoned veterans in the room, but I'll also help the people, if it's your first time, we'll kind of talk about it very quickly. All right, so final budget presentation. It's the same slides that we've used. We've just amended the numbers to reflect a different budget amount. Those of you who are paying attention, we have been working on this since January into February. We've had our ups and downs. I have a letter that went out to the community. I think I said it best when I said that a lot of times difficult decisions take some extra time, so this is some extra time. We were granted some opportunities by the state to extend our deadlines. We took advantage of that, but today, be assured today is the deadline for us to act one way or another. So you have our budget, our operating stuff here. What you'll notice if you were paying attention, I don't have the comparison slide up here, we have raised it since the last time. Everything that you see here is representative of a 9.58 tax levy number, okay, where if you were here the last time, it was at 7.57. Okay, so if you were to compare these as we go down the road, or you want to look at them online, which we will post this up tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, you're able to do that. Operating budget versus our grants and entitlements versus our debt service, which is in parentheses because that's gone down, and then gives you the total number here. Again, a slide that many of you who've been here before, you'll see the final tonight, property tax levy based on 3.15%, which is the original statutory amount, was in the amount of $63 million. State aid in the amount of $7.7 million, extraordinary aid $803,000. We've been granted permission from our county executive business official. Thank you. I keep calling her administrator. She's an official. To take our chances on a $400,000 land sale. We're currently in a survey process for land that we will not use or probably never use. The larger number is the property tax application or the revenue. That represents the opportunity that the state gave us to make up the difference through a property tax levy. That number is $3.9 million. You see zero last year because we didn't have that last year. If you look at the 24-25 section, tax incentive, that will be money that the state will add to our state aid. It's a small percentage of the larger number that's part of the tax application. That has gone up and down if you look at older slides, just based on the total number that we are asking for. Just so I don't forget, always Ms. Sharon Ormsby is our business administrator. She is here to keep the numbers straight. Okay, so miscellaneous revenues, the grants and entitlements, which is the same. Our debt service aid, which is in parentheses, again, it's gone way down because our debt has gone way down over time, and then the total. So the total year to year total budget would be up 3.35%. All right, this is the slide that everybody is waiting for. Okay, we've described this slide many a time. Because of the incentive aid, okay, it's a 9.58 tax implication. Okay, we'll let everybody look at that for a moment. The 288,906 represents the average home in Lacey when you take all of the assessments together. Okay, probably most people in this room have a higher assessment than that. And then we do the 400,000 and the 500,000, and you would calculate your own if you are above that in assessments. Okay, so that was the tax increase from 24-25, and then we show you the monthly number should this be voted positively tonight. Okay, so that's the slide that everyone's kind of waiting for. It's just about my last slide. What does this mean? Because some of you are in the audience about now, what does this mean? If you attended the last meeting and then attended this meeting, what does it mean? Okay, it still means a lot. Okay, it still means that we are coming down off of my recommended budget. Okay, my recommended budget to maintain all services, okay, we don't have that. Everything you see here are the cuts after we've reduced the original recommendation that I made, which was much higher. Okay, it was a 14.24 tax implication percent. Okay, this is a 9.58 tax implication, but it does come with some pain, as I, as Chief School Administrator, can talk about. Okay, 17 teachers will still be eliminated. 2 administrators will be eliminated. Support staff cuts, 2 custodial, 2 full-time paraprofessionals, 4 grounds workers, and we have not budgeted for any salary increases that aren't contractually obligated at this point, which includes the bulk of our employees. Let's be very clear. This is still going to be painful. Operational cuts and changes in this budget then, courtesy busing is still in our walking zone. Okay, I want to make it clear that Forked River School is not part of that equation because of their location on Lacey Road. We'll have no bus replacements this year, no new curriculum materials, and we've already spoken a little bit about the sale of the school district property. The big change between 7.57 and 9.9 is adding staff back in to eliminate grade banding. That's what this 9.9 will represent. Okay, that's if you're looking for like, what's the difference? That's the difference. There is no other difference if you've been paying attention up to now. Okay, this will maintain our 3 elementaries, grades 1 to 5, in their current orientation. Doesn't mean some kids don't move around based on programming, but it means that their current orientation, we call it our home school a lot of times. Okay, that'll be maintained if we have this voted positively. That's the big change. Still a lot of cuts in there. All right, that's it. I'm going to get off the stage.
Okay.
I'm going to move on.
Okay, thank you. All right,
Go
we're going
back
to
to
move on to
first.
public comment. An audience member wishing to make a comment will raise his or her hand, and when called upon, state their name, address, or affiliation, and intention to make a statement. Comments will be addressed to the board president. Comments will be made one issue at a time. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes. No audience member shall be recognized twice until all who have wished to comment have been recognized. This portion of the meeting is for public comments only. There will be no questions answered. The purpose of this board meeting is for the board to perform our business in public. Everyone is entitled to a public comment. If there is a question for the board, there's the established chain of command to follow. I'm also asking everyone tonight to please refrain from calling out when community members are speaking. If we can just remain silent, everybody has their own opinion and what they would like to say. So if everyone can please just hold your comments and please do not call out, I would appreciate it, okay? I don't want to end public comment early, but I can if it gets out of hand, okay? And we also have 2 podiums, so I'm going to call on 2 people, and then we can start with this one, Denise, if you want to start. And then if someone else wants to speak, they can get ready on this side. Denise, you can start. Does anybody else
How about the next person
would
raise
like
their
to make?
hand and
Yep.
come down?
Okay, you can just get
Move
ready on
things
that
along
side. Thank
just
you.
a little bit quicker.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hi, Denise from Forked River. Most of you guys, ladies and gentlemen, and parents and teacher do know me, and I'm still going to say the same thing because I believe in it. I believe in the seniors are going to be hit very hard. Not only seniors, other people, teachers, and everybody else that live in this community. It's going to be a burden financially, of course. I understand we have to have cuts. I understand people want this and people want that. We're all not going to get what we want. The world is not perfect. But I would really appreciate, because I do speak for a lot of the seniors, and I don't know how to look at them and tell them that that $40 or $50 or whatever it is that's going up is going to take something out of their budget, especially when they're on Social Security. I don't know what else to do. They do try to donate to the fire department. They already told me how are they going to do that? And that's a big thing for, excuse me, that's a big thing for us, because we all like to donate because God knows what we just went through. So to hear that makes me upset also, because that's not fair either. I don't have the answer. I know no one in this room. We have very good suggestions from a lot of people up there and there. I just don't know what to tell you besides look in your hearts, understand what we're really financially going through. We're going to have a hit again. We just had a hit a couple months ago. What is it, 9.2, 9.5, was it?
9.9.
5? So to me, to have that within a year is a little too much of a hit. Again, it's just difficult with the gas and the food, and now the electric going up. I don't have to preach to you. We're all grown-ups. We all see what's happening. We all see our life is changing through everything. This is emotionally for a lot of the children here, their moms and their dads fighting. It's bad for single moms, not just the seniors, but everybody. So I don't know what else I can possibly say. Besides, I am praying for everybody, whoever wants what they need and can get what they need. But please look inside your heart and think about how this will affect our community, who really, really want to hold together and do whatever we need to do if we have to do Plan B. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you for that
Okay, you
time.
can get started.
Kelly Brenner from Forked River. I have 2 students that are going to be enrolled next year. Firstly, thank you for taking the time to continue to work for what's going to be best for our children and our township moving forward. And as we consider budget allocations and staffing decisions, it's essential to prioritize the fundamental needs of our students. 2 critical factors that significantly influence student success are safety and supervision. By prioritizing the safety and supervision, we can foster a positive school culture, reduce incidents, and promote an environment where students can thrive and reach their full potential. There are approximately 1,350 elementary school students at the 3 Lacey Township elementary schools. That number breaks down to about 450 students to each principal, and the numbers are only going to grow, especially with the huge increase of family-sized housing being built in this town. Investing in elementary school supervision provides a safe, structured, and supportive environment where young students can thrive. Effective supervision enables teachers to focus on instruction while students feel secure and confident, allowing them to build strong foundations for future academic success. Having a dedicated supervisor for each school or to deliver a concrete advantage include improved student behavior, increased academic engagement, and enhanced social emotional development while setting our students up for long-term success. With the proposed sharing of elementary school supervisors, this opens the school up to insufficient administrative capacities, which could hinder timely decision-making, crisis management, and instructional guidance, ultimately affecting the overall quality of education at the school climate. The school supervisors oversee curriculum, technology, testing, busing processes in the morning and the afternoon, report cards, progress reports, and other day-to-day operations in the school that deal directly with students, staff, and parents. By retaining an experienced and effective elementary supervisor at each of the 3 elementary schools, we can ensure continuity and stability in all of our elementary schools, ultimately benefiting students during the start of their educational journey. If 3 schools have 2 shared supervisors, they would each not have a designated supervisor assigned for standardized testing, and the odd school out may be compromised. Consistent and standardized testing setups are essential to ensure fairness, accuracy, and reliability in assessing student performance. Without standardized condition, testing outcomes may be influenced by environmental factors rather than the student knowledge, potentially leading to a biased or inaccurate result. This could impact the validity and reliability of the test results, ultimately affecting the student scores and school evaluations. With the elimination of the technology teacher role, the elementary supervisor has taken over their vital tasks such as grade books, report cards, and progress reports, all in which ultimately benefit students and parents by providing a clear and consistent communication about the student's progress. It's an unrealistic expectation to have that responsibility for multiple schools put on one person and have it be completed accurately and on time. Safety is the most important and reoccurring theme for all my statements that I've made to you so far. The presence of an elementary school supervisor during bus arrival and dismissal times is crucial for ensuring student safety and well-being. A designated supervisor can oversee the flow of students, respond to incidents, and provide guidance to staff, students, and parents, helping to prevent accidents and conflicts. Their absence could lead to increased risk of confusion and potential safety hazards, compromising the secure transition of students to and from school. The busing and parent drop-off and pickup is an extremely critical time of the day that requires all supervision available. Elementary students are at a higher risk rate than middle and high school students at drop-off and pickup times because they lack the cognitive ability and physical coordination to accurately gauge safety situations. Elementary students are physically smaller, making it harder for drivers to see them. Additionally, shorter children may have a harder time seeing over or around these obstacles themselves, potentially leading to poor judgment when it's safe to cross. As a final thought, allocating resources to staffing decisions will significantly enhance our school's ability to provide high-quality education and support. The investments will show through improved student outcomes, increased teacher effectiveness, and a more stable and productive school environment. By prioritizing these essential staffing needs, we can ensure our students remain as a place where students can thrive and succeed.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. I'll take, is there one more to head down? Anybody else like to have a public comment? You can head down to this podium, please. Go ahead, Rihanna.
Rhiannon, Forked River. First, I want to give a shout out to two of my students who this past weekend came in first and second place in the Americanism essay contest run by our local Elks. And in the spirit of what it means to be an American, it means that we can use our voices right now. New Jersey is having its resources drained in multiple facets for several reasons: our housing, our energy, our healthcare, and our education. All which is increasing our taxes and our expenses. And as I've said a bunch of times, there's 100 districts in the same boat that we are. And regardless of what happens tonight, we cannot end this school year and carry on like all is fine, whatever way it goes. Because we're going to be in the same boat in March. We have to have our voices heard. Whether you are a senior, whether you are a parent, whether you're a resident or a student, regardless of how this election for our governor goes, your voices need to be heard by Senator Sarlo and Assemblywoman Marin. They are the chairs of the budget committees in New Jersey. They will also be who's advising others on the state of our state with whoever wins that election. So as of now, Senator Sarlo has said himself that he has not heard much from the districts that have had these cuts. So they must not be that bad. That is what he said. Assemblywoman Marin represents Newark, and they have increased their state aid to $1.3 billion with a B. They are the largest district in the state, but their aid has increased significantly. Our school website has points of contact, and I understand in the bustle of every day, that is easy to forget about. It goes on your list of things I have to do, but with everybody working long hours and having children and summer coming, those get pushed to the wayside first. So I have printed envelopes with labels for both of them to send snail mail, because that can be just as effective, and the email sheets. And if you could please commit to taking one and writing a letter based on how this is affecting you personally and your family, and even better, send one a month, or print your own labels and get some to your neighbors and canvass your neighborhood and get them to write, because it affects all of us differently, but everyone is valid. So they're down here, and however things go tonight, it is what it is. So, thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to have a public comment? I'll take two. Is there another one? Regina, you want to head to this podium? Go ahead, you can start. Thank you.
Good evening. Brandon Hurley, 219 Lenape, Forked River. Good evening. I want to start by saying what I think many of us already feel, that this situation is hard. No one up here or out here, up there or out here, is rooting for us to raise higher taxes, but at the same time, No one can deny that cutting more staff programs or supports is the price our children should not be asked to pay. As a parent in this district, I care deeply about how we got here, but even more about where we go next. Because while we're trying to fix the budget, let's not forget we're also shaping futures. And if we fail to lead with that in mind, the ones who suffer the most won't be in this room tonight, they'll be in the classrooms tomorrow. So let's talk about facts. New Jersey ranked #1 in education in the nation. That's something to be proud of, but also something to live up to. Unfortunately, Lacey is trending away from that excellence, not with it. One major reason, we spend significantly less per student, nearly $3,500 less than the state average. And that funding gap touches everything: class size, staff levels, program access, special education support, and even basic resources. Now here's why that matters. We are caught in what feels like an impossible corner, and it's largely due to the school funding formula. Under this formula, districts like ours that don't meet the state's expected local tax or contributions are penalized, and we have been. Lacey has lost over millions of dollars in state aid over the last 8 years, not because of mismanaging funds, but because we're not meeting what the state considers our share of the burden. So let me say this clearly. If we continue to avoid our contribution, we will continue to be penalized. That's not politics, that's policy, and it's unsustainable. Yet every time this issue comes up, there's a course of online commentary blaming the board and belittling the real damage being done. One person even said, and I quote, "A groundskeeper here, a custodian there, 1 or 2 paraprofessionals, these are meaningless cuts." That just blows my mind. We've lost over 100 staff members in the last 8 years, and these are not meaningless cuts. They are deeply felt. They impact the very people who make our schools function. I also say this without hesitation. I refuse to let my children's education be dictated by any individual who does not support the system beyond criticizing it. If they are not contributing, advocating, or solving, they are in the way. My family and many others in this town are done accepting silence from those that think outrage is the solution. Now, if the board passes a budget tonight, and I understand why they might, then the work starts tomorrow. As a community and as a board, we must begin immediate mitigation and corrective planning, because when we meet next year, the conversation cannot look like this again. It cannot revolve around slashing staff, destabilizing programs, or pushing kids to different schools, especially the most vulnerable, and into chaotic transitions. It must reflect real progress, better planning, and a path that aligns Lacey with the standard New Jersey has set. This isn't just a budget decision, it's a moral decision, and it's time we start leading like it. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Regina, you can start.
Regina DeSenza, Sunset Drive, Sunrise Beach. Here we are at yet again another special meeting with the hugest property tax increases ever. I guess you all forgot your promise last year, except for Mr. and Mrs. Amato, to never do another large property tax increase. You know this is driving some people out of town that can't afford to live here anymore. Tonight, I'd like to thank former board member Sean Giordano for getting this budget deficit trend started over 10 years ago. How? Because he was the first negotiations chair, 2015-2016, that started giving the contractual raises over 3%. When former board member Maureen Torella, an attorney, left her seat, she warned me, never give raises over 2% because that's the tax levy cap. Some people just don't understand the basic math of contractual raises. Each year, the amount gets higher and higher as the new percentage is added to the salaries. Lacey School District has now reached a point where it can't afford any maintenance and student transportation. And I predict the district will soon lose our food service department and maybe the entire transportation department too. By law, the district is only required to educate. Sports are a superfluous offer. When I was last in office, pay to play was tossed around for sports several times, but Vanessa refused to do it year after year when districts all over the state were doing it to preserve jobs and other services. But not Lacey. It continues to prioritize athletics over academics. Yes, the district wins a prize here and there, but the taxpayers are the big losers year after year. And my question is, what's going to happen next year? Is this going to be the exact same scenario, and are you going to do 10% again next year? Some major structural changes have to take place in this district in order for the tax increases to be affordable. They shouldn't be over 2%. Thank you. Go ahead. You can
Good
start.
evening. My name is Margaret Statura, 112 Cedar Drive. I have 2 children in the district. Members of the board, as elected officials, positions each of you choose to campaign for, your responsibility is to act in the best interest of the children and families of this community. That responsibility does not include catering to self-appointed pseudo-government groups that operate under false authority and use social media to threaten, attack, and divide, often targeting teachers and even members of this very board. As a parent of 2 children in the district, one of whom has both autism and type 1 diabetes, I know firsthand how critical stability, structure, and well-supported classrooms are. Children with complex needs rely on consistent, manageable environments to succeed, and honestly, so do all students. What's most alarming right now is the potential to move toward increasing class sizes well beyond what's legally allowed. These caps are in place to protect the quality of instruction and ensure every student has access to meaningful support. Violating these limits risks not only state compliance issues, but the overall effectiveness and safety of our classrooms. Many families in this community, mine included, structure their work schedules, childcare, and daily life around their children's school routines. Larger class sizes mean more overwhelmed teachers, more overlooked students, and more stress on families trying to navigate support systems that are already stretched thin. I've always believed that the purpose of life is to leave the world better than we found it, especially for our children. A community that values children, invests in their education, and ensures every classroom is a place where students are seen, heard, and supported. And finally, I must speak to the tone of recent conversations. The hateful and divisive rhetoric we are seeing, especially online, is harmful. It tears at the very foundation of what public education stands for: unity, opportunity, and growth. I urge this board to do what is right. Protect our teachers, protect our students, and make decisions rooted in compassion, equity, and law, not pressure, noise, or fear. Thank you.
Thank you. One more person can come down and head to that podium if they would like to speak. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Linda Miller. Do you want my address? Forked River?
Forked River. Yeah, that's fine.
All right. Okay. I'm addressing the board. What are you thinking? Have you looked at the big picture? This school is in our town. 60% of the property tax automatically goes to the school district, while 40% to our town. This small school community is always ahead of the money game. Raising our town's taxes to this extent is an attack on our community. If we don't have a town, we won't have a school. 4 votes affect 30,000 people. 4 votes can put our town into fiscal crisis. These extreme tax increases are an easy solution for you. But what about all the taxpayers who have been supporting these schools and their employees for years and years? This is becoming personal to me. I am frightened for all of us. This taxing is out of control. Think before you vote. This has become a moral issue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Michael Ryan, President of LTA. So before I figured out what I was going to say when I came up here tonight, I was asking myself, what can I say to this board that hasn't already been said over the numerous meetings that we've had in this situation? So the first thing I'd like to address is I heard someone from the community, former board member, speak about history. So I'm an educator myself. Let me educate the board, if you're not aware, that we tend to be in this situation because even though the number 2% was thrown around, there were many years that we did not go to 2%. And the way math works is exponentially, that puts us deeper into a hole. Therefore, the state saying that we're 28.85, is that about right, 29% under adequacy, that's where it comes from. So when former board members get up here and talk about the past, let's be real about the past. They were on the board. They were part of that problem of not going to the 2%, which in their minds would be fine now. So why is it fine now, but it wasn't fine 10 years ago? So I just want to get that out in the open and in the public. Math is fun, so is history. So what I'd really like to address here is that I'm not a fan of this budget. I've heard Mr. Zielinski speak about it. I've heard our administrators speak about it. I know there are board members that have spoken about it. They're not a fan of this budget. We talk about 17 certified staff members, this year that are going, 163 over 8 years. That does not include our support staff in the past. This year we're losing 2 administrators. The elementary and supervisors will be shared. Again, putting more burden on our staff. Our staff cuts, our 2 custodial, our 3 full-time paras. I want to address these support staff positions because constantly we talk about the teachers, and we know that teachers are the first front line in that classroom, but our support staff plays such a vital role. And I want to make sure that the board understands this, and I know you hear it, but it sometimes doesn't sink in. Our full-time paraprofessionals usually are the ones that are assigned for our special needs students, that are most neediest students. And those paraprofessionals are a second or third parent. That paraprofessional, in most cases, follows them through their elementary education all the way through their high school. They literally are there with those students from beginning to end. And if you ask any parent of a special needs student about their para, they fight for their para, they have a relationship with those paras, and we are losing those paras. Cutting our full-time down to part-time, we have people coming in and out. And I know that on a bottom line, on the dollar sheet, that looks great, but it's not what's best for our kids. It's a problem we've been dealing with for a long time. And we're continuing to cut our full-time paras. The other cuts I want to talk about are these 4 custodial positions. I don't know if you noticed tonight, couldn't have timed it better. We have our custodial guys out there right now dealing with a bee infestation. If you walked around, they roped off, they're still here. So we're still getting it done. And I think the public doesn't understand that because the people step up and do the job, that these cuts aren't visible. They don't see it. I'm telling you right now, before you walk out of here, watch what's going on out there. Again, cut to our grounds and our custodial staff. It's unacceptable. Again, this budget I am not a fan of. It's not what we want, but this is something you have to do. And I don't like giving ultimatums to a Board of Education, but this, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, is something you have to do tonight. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Go ahead, Richard.
You don't pick.
Just,
You don't pick.
if
Are
you're,
you going or not?
if you're called, you need to come down. Richard, you're the only one with their hand up, so please come down. Thank you. Is there anyone else after Richard? Up at the top. You can come here, it's closer. You can come down.
Good evening, Lacey citizens, members of the board. Richard Bidnick, Lacey Citizens for Responsible Government. Didn't we live through this exact same nightmare a year ago? Board members are on the record stating that they would never do this again, but yet here we are. I hate to say this, but dishonesty runs deep in our school district. What I find most disturbing about all of this is the lack of conscience on the part of the majority of the board, who seem to not even begin to fathom the stark realities of many of our citizens in this town. You know, I walk between 4 and 6 miles every day, and I talk to a lot of people that most of you don't even know, and you'll never know. But I hear their struggles and their concerns. And when the school board is affecting so many of our households in a negative way, financially, it does become personal. I just can't imagine, and I would never, under any circumstances, do what the school board did last year and is trying to do this year, and inflict that type of financial pain on our families. You know, when you're an elected official, you need to take yourself out of the box, and it's not always about what you want. There's a whole community that you have to think about. Did you know that 70% of the households in Lacey do not have children in our schools? So when you're going to go and inflict a large tax increase on many people, think about that. Think about the individuals who may not be able to continue to keep up with their mortgages, their property taxes, their car payments, and putting food on the table. I think that the board gets into a one-track mind and doesn't look at the broader picture, what this type of financial crisis is causing the households in Lacey Township. It is a moral issue with me, and then it does become personal, because when we have a board president, Ms. Kloss, who is on the record stating she has no problem raising the taxes, you begin to think that some individuals are so out of touch with a lot of the other struggling families in our town. It becomes very disconcerting. It is so important for you to understand this premise. If this budget passes tonight, over $10 million in extra tax money beyond the 2% cap would have been taken from the households of Lacey Township, and that is just totally unacceptable. And I'm sorry, it isn't only about the children. It's about everyone in Lacey Township. There still be a school no matter what happens. It just might not be the school district that you want, but then again, that's a reality of life. We don't always get what we want. Forcing 2 large tax increases on the citizens of Lacey Township is just unconscionable, especially by 4 people. We all know it's not about the kids either. It's all about the adults. And let's be honest for once. If it was about the kids, the school district would have done something about improving our test scores and increasing academic achievement, which is something I have been speaking about for years and years and years. Obviously, what we are doing isn't working. And our teachers obviously aren't teaching the students what they need to know to be able to do well on these tests. Or maybe nobody cares.
Quiet,
I don't
please.
know. Maybe they don't. On Tuesday, June 3rd, I happened to watch the Zoom and watch what I hope will be the last and final appeal hearing for a former sitting board member and president who had been censored for ethics violations. The same board member came to a board meeting recently and spoke up, criticized the board, and said that they weren't doing their job. And this had to do with the 14.25% tax increase. I really had to scratch my head. This gentleman was sitting on the board when S2 became law. Instead of working to get the school district's financial house in order and to come up with a plan on how the school district was going to deal with the changes in the funding formula, our former board member, president, who was defeated in his reelection, decided to take revenge on one of his political rivals. This case, which has gone through the courts system for 5 years, has cost the district somewhere to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars, all because one person couldn't accept their punishment. The sad part about all this is that, I can come up again.
You can.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, thank you. Would anybody else like to speak tonight? Anyone else after? No? Okay. Oh, you can head to the podium. Oh, unless it's easier to wait. That's fine. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Marissa Maslin. I live on Maxim Drive. I am also a parent of a student in the district and a teacher at Cedar Creek. Before I start, I think it's important to note that our students' success looks much more than test scores. As a special education teacher, especially, I am proud of all of the growth that my students make, and most of it is not based on any test or standardized test that most of the people see in rankings. So, and I would also bet that my colleagues can also say that they see a lot of growth that they find more important than the standardized tests. I also wanted to take a moment to say thank you to our district administration and school board for reconsidering the previously presented budget. I know you have been tasked with impossible choices to try to find a balance for everyone due to circumstances out of your control. Thank you to those of you who are consistently putting our students first when making these decisions. And thank you for considering the future of our town, because without our schools being the best they can be and the best that our children deserve, our town won't be the place that we all love. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Stacy Conti. I have a son that attended Cedar Creek and is now in Lacey Middle School. And he has autism, he has ADHD, and I cannot say enough about what this school district has done, not just for my son, but many of his friends, and you know, not just from the school district, from other school districts as well. I've been to several Board of Education meetings, and the first thing I need to say is every year our taxes are going to increase because spending increases. And that's not just spending in schools, it's spending everywhere. You see what we have to deal with even groceries right now. And to lose any staff member I've seen it over the years, it has affected our kids. To cut a para to part-time, my paras for my son are lifelong friends. When we started elementary school in first grade, I still am friends with my para and many other school staff members, including teachers, that have been a lifetime support for my son, and he's now in the 6th grade. So for me to sit here and listen that there's going to be any more cuts, just like last year, and when people say, oh, another year of lies, that's not true. You guys go above and beyond to try to make everybody in this town happy. I can't even imagine the stress that you have to go under. And for somebody to say that you don't care about anybody in this community is heart-wrenching. I know that you look out for all our community, whether you're a senior citizen, and I want to say also to the senior citizens, the only senior citizen that I'm going to say doesn't have a kid or doesn't have kids, you must mean that you never had kids for you to say anything against the school board, because at one point you had kids in school and possibly grandkids in school. So
Please let her speak. Please just stay quiet. Thank you.
so I'm just asking you to look at that as well. Just like my mom's a senior citizen. I know she lives on just her Social Security. So I know what that's like as well. So I care about her just as much as I care about my kids and other people's kids. It's about having empathy and sympathy. And we should all work together. And I know this school board every year does their best to work on the budgets. Prices increase. That's all I can say. And for us to say, when you work, you got raises every year. Think of that as well for the school district and the staff that take care. You know, I just want you to think of that before everybody jumps on the Board of Education's throat and says that they're not sympathetic or empathetic or don't care about other people in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. You can go.
My name is Bob DiPolito. I live over on Chelsea. I've been to this meeting and the one before that, and I'm curious about the grade banding and why it's such a problem for everybody. Wouldn't putting all of the resources for the 5th grade, say, in the same building help us as a community by making sure that all of the kids had the same resources in the same place for every single grade? This would help us with multiple schools, having the kids all over the place. I understand people are afraid of not having the same teachers every year or the same school for multiple years, but I was in a school where all the grades were put in the same place. And then you only need one principal for 5th grade. You only need what you need there. Everybody, you can focus. I'm sorry, I'm a terrible public speaker, but I'm wondering why the grade banding is such a fear for everybody when it is a way that we can put resources to all of the kids in the best possible place. With all of the cuts, at some point you're going to run out of people to put in all of these schools if we have to keep cutting down all of these staff positions over and over again. And I think that would also, the special needs kids would actually benefit more if we were able to put better focus in the same place for all of the special needs children. Not put them all aside or put them, okay, we need this kid here, and this kid here, but if we could combine it together, we could work together better. That's all I basically had to say on that. I had more in
Sir, it's a longer conversation. Call my office, and we'll have a long conversation about grade banding and not grade banding.
Okay.
Okay? Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, good evening. My name is Dan Pastor at 533 Holmes Avenue North in Forked River. My intent tonight was not to speak at all about the budget or anything like that, but I was listening to the previous gentleman talk about how well our students do and test scores and whatnot and so forth, and I think he's got it kind of wrong. My daughter participates in the Ocean County Math League competition each year, and I'm not really sure where he's getting his information from, but just to give you an example of how well the math department is doing in the Lacey Township School District, I'm going to let you know the facts of the situation. In the last competition, the 4th grade Cedar Creek Elementary School, they took 3rd place in Ocean County for that particular competition. So that's a shout out to the, Jessica Schaefer. She's the coach, so good for her. It doesn't stop there, it keeps on going because they did such a great job. The 5th grade Forked River Elementary School placed 1st place in the Ocean County. Once again, Jessica, great job. It keeps on going. 6th grade Lacey Township Middle School, 4th place, Ocean County. Great job, Christina Hayes, well done. 7th grade, my daughter Sophia Pastor is on his team. 7th grade Lacey Township Middle School, 2nd place, Ocean County. The coach is Margaret Molly, is that correct? I guess, yeah. So once again, you could talk about the test scores. I see the test scores. My daughter comes home with them, and they're pretty good. But it goes above and beyond that. When it comes to these academic competitions, we could be like other schools and not be ranked here at all. But we are in Lacey Township, and this is not just the first year that the Ocean County Math League has done well. In the last 5 years that my daughters competed, they have ranked in the top 4 for the last 5 years. And that gives a great credit to the math department of all levels at Lacey Township School District. So I just wanted to speak my mind on that. Thank you very much and have a good day.
Thank you.
Hi, Jen Mantagna. I do not live in town, but I do work in this town. I have attended more board meetings than I have my own child. I have seen a lot of years go by, and I agree with the gentleman before. It's not the board's fault. It's the economy's fault. It's our politicians' fault. So we're going to pin it on our children. We're going to allow our children to suffer the consequences of the adults. I don't think that that's fair. I've been teaching, 1st grade, 2nd grade, 4th grade, and I can honestly say that I love my job and I love what I do. I know that the people that I work with also feel the same way. We're very compassionate, empathetic, and compassionate to the community of Lacey Township. You also have to remember, folks, they grow up in this town, they go to college, and then they come back to this town. So if you want a strong town, you got to raise strong kids. I had a child that was very difficult many, many years ago. I received a personal invitation to that child's graduation this year, and I can't be more proud of him. I had him in 1st grade, and then I had the pleasure of having him again in 4th grade. He's now the valedictorian of Lacey Township High School, and I can't say enough about him. I also had his brother, which most of us get, a sibling, and that's why the school rebanding is really not a good idea, because the schools are our communities. We are teaching our children, and we are fostering our children to become better citizens in our communities, in our schools, so that when they go out in the real world, they come back to their communities and they give back to their community. I'm a very passionate person. I'm loud. I talk with my hands. I understand the whole tax thing. I do. I moved down here because I wanted a better school for my child. I also moved down here because, let's face it, the taxes were cheaper. But you know what? That's not our board's fault. That's your township's fault. Every single person in this room knew you had a power plant. You knew you were getting subsidized by that plant. And now it's going to fall on you, folks.
Can you just address me, please?
I'm sorry, but you can't blame the people on the board. It's your township politicians. You have not paid 2% interest on taxes every year. That's why we're in a hole. So give our credit to our people. And I really implore this board to really think about that. If you pay what you're supposed to pay, just like Mrs. Conti said, we're living in a world where the economy is just going up. It's part of life, folks. I can't retire because I can't afford to put food on my table, a roof over my kid's head, or get her to college without my job. So by cutting my salary is going to help? I don't think so. I think everybody needs to look at the whole picture, and we need to stand together as a community for these kids. Whether they're regular ed or special ed, you really need to think about that. Because when my child comes in the morning, they get a hug. And when they leave at the end of the day, they get a hug. And you know why? Because if I provide them with a safe, loving, learning, eco-environment, then guess what? I did my job as a teacher of Cedar Creek Elementary School in Lacey Township. Thank you very much.
Would anybody else like to speak? Go ahead, Sean.
Good evening. My name's Sean Goodhart, member of the town for 35 years. I moved to this town because I love this town. I came down, my uncle said, I want to build a family here. Okay, school systems are good, sports were good, people were good. Okay, I had 3 kids go through the system. I have 1 currently still going. Each kid, with the help of all the teachers, of all the staff and family, okay? My one son bought a house in Brownsville. So proud of him, so proud of him. Doing well. Other kids, teacher down in a behavioral development teacher down in Pinelands. Okay, he wasn't the best learner. He told us he made the honor roll. No, he didn't. We don't believe that. There's no way. You cheated. You got some kind of paperwork, okay? Now, my daughter right now loves school, loves her teachers, wants to get them gifts, even though she's in high school, okay? She's made honor, high honors for the last 4 years, and she's only a junior. She won an award for marine biology that a senior should win. She won it as a junior. She's missed a handful of days in her career as a student, okay? And she loves going to school. Why? To get away from father? Maybe. But mostly because of the teachers. All the people that helped along the way. The board, I thank you guys for doing everything you're doing. You're getting paid nothing. You're getting beat up. There's even people going as far as singling out people about what they drive and what do you call it? That's bull. That's bull. Okay? We don't do that. We're trying to come together as a community. I worked for the Township of Lacey for 35 years, and a lot of people may know my face. A lot of people may know me. I donate to everything. All I do is try and give back to this town, because I had nothing coming from Jersey City. I lived in a house full of roaches. I came down here and made a new life for myself. Changed everything I did about myself. Okay, I tried to groom myself away. Lacey Township was. Didn't work because I was a Benny for 25 years. Okay? So I still get called a Benny. But if you know me, anybody can come to me. I could talk to them. You need help, and I'm working in my public works, I will help you. I'll pick up garbage on the side of the road. I'll do anything to make this township better, or the streets better, okay? Or the sidewalks or whatever. I've done this for years, and I'm retiring in about 1.5 years, okay? And I'm gonna miss my public works and all the guys and all the girls. And you know what? But all these teachers and all the board members are getting beat up for what? For what? We're all human beings. Okay, we all mean something to these kids. And I keep hearing that 70% of people don't have kids in a school anymore. Well, you know what? I'll bet you 50% or 60% did have kids in the system. So back when my parents and their parents, we all paid taxes for the kids to go to school, okay? We paid for public works, we paid for public employees, and we paid for public schools. Okay, that was afforded to us because that's the way it was. Okay, what are we going to change everything right now? When we're in dire straits, when we don't have the money? And if anybody knows, if they have health benefits, they know that their health benefits in the last 3 years went up $22,000. What? We're fighting, for millions of dollars here, right? But $22,000, okay, for your plan in 3 years. That's the problem. Okay, yeah, everybody's going to make more money. To ask anybody to take a pay cut, they're hurting more. Okay, so you can take 10% and another 10%. Where do we stop? Where do we stop? And all this stuff online about fighting with each other. And I don't know how people can say how other people are going to vote. I keep hearing this guy, well, 4 people are going to vote, 4 people. How do we know that? We didn't even have a vote yet. How does this get to here? Where we know who's going to vote for what? Come on, guys. Let's be better. Okay, we're a community. We're a strong community. Okay, came to this town. We had a kid throw a perfect game. People just stood there, weren't even clapping. And then he was student of the year. Come on. Where are we at? Our children are our future. Our parents told us we were our future, okay? Okay, and before that, okay, it's the same thing. I feel bad for anybody who gets a tax rate. I can't handle it, I'll be honest with you. I work 3 jobs. That's what I do. But you know what? I'm going to make do. I'll do whatever I have to do. And the seniors, if they need help, whatever, I'll help. Whatever. I'll cut their grass for free. It doesn't matter. Okay, that's about giving back. It's not about, okay, well, you can't get this, you can't get that. Our kids are important because they may be our next board president. They may be our next president. Trump, Biden, whoever. But it doesn't matter. You still have to respect what I didn't care for what Biden did or whatever. I still respect the position. Okay, you guys get disrespected all the time for nothing, and it's a shame. And it breaks my heart to go online and see the names calling and everything like that. For what? For what? 35 years, and I don't plan on leaving. I'm staying here, and I'm going to keep fighting for whatever it is, okay? And I'll keep donating, I'll keep working, and that's it. Thank you. I hope everybody...
Good evening, everybody. Just a point of clarification, Stephen Kennis, Deputy Mayor. It's come up many times in public, so I just wanted to let everybody know. We have lost no money from the power plant closure. The only money that has been lost is when they take down a building, they get the reduction in the assessed value of the building. So it's been minimal. It's because they've taken down very few buildings so far. But the amount of property taxes we receive and the state aid we received has more or less remained flat for the last 12 years since I've been on the committee. So,
thank you. Bob, you can come down and give her. You can start.
Jessica DeLuca, Hetherington Court. I've been coming here for a while now, as most of you know. Sometimes I think that you guys aren't listening to us at all, and I get frustrated, and I don't understand why. When we were going through a really hard pushback of the board, everyone kept saying, don't you guys ever come here and say something nice? Everybody just picks and picks at the board. Tonight, I want to actually say, I was really pleasantly surprised. I have to say I was floored that Skip Peters and Mr. Conate both voted no to the budget last meeting. So I know Mrs. Downing was on the fence. I really wish you would have pulled the trigger there just to kind of really put it, to the board here that you were saying a firm no. I'm proud that you guys are listening. I feel like there's a lot of times that you don't, and there's a lot of kickback on Mr. Bidnick, and I feel for him because all he's trying to do is good. I know that teachers hate him, and I know that you guys, I keep hearing people say about him that he's very curt and doesn't say things the correct way, and maybe he doesn't, but that's his way. So we can't really criticize him for that. But I'm proud to say that he is sticking up for many people that are afraid to come up here and say those things. So for that, I will give him a big round of applause. So Pastor Bell, I have to say I am extremely disappointed at your comment your remarks last meeting. As we were all sitting here trying to figure out, I as a parent am sitting here trying to figure out how I'm going to pay for my family's needs, everything, just food on the table. You know, you guys are talking about maybe a 3%, a 7%, a 10% tax increase. You know, these are all things that literally take the food out of my children's mouths. So when you decided to make the comment that you said, you had the audacity to say, if you're not happy, we as Americans have the right to move. It's that easy? Well, maybe you have a magical wand that you can give to all of us, because I would love to move out of state. But it's not that easy. I can never just pick up, move a job. I own a company. Can you tell me I could just move my company down to another state? No. I can't pull my kids out of school, which they don't go here, for the reason that I wanted more for my children. And I understand that you guys are trying very hard to make it that way, but I think our focus has to be back on the curriculums and the actual schooling. I do feel like there's been comments like about the sports. I love sports. My children play sports, but maybe we need to put the focus back on the school again and on the curriculum again. I wanted to say thank you for, you know, sticking up for us and saying no to the budget, but I would also want to do the same tonight. I feel like that 10% is a very large number for families, and I don't think it's fair to our seniors. I don't think it's fair for just parents in general. Somebody brought up about, you know, a single mom. Like, that's a huge, huge burden to them, and it saddens me. It really does. I am a little disappointed too, because I know that you guys have reached out to the state, but there's been a lot of parents that have come up here and said, you know, let's go to state, let's fight the state, let's get a bus, let's whatever. And nobody's ever like on that side saying, yeah, let's go, let's go to the state, let's fight them, because the honest truth is that is the problem. We know, a lot of us know that you guys don't have the exact answers are there, that you're making the issues, but there are some wiggle rooms that are on you guys too. I mean, I hate to say it's not just all the state. There is some things that we as a whole, a community, are doing incorrectly that can be fixed. And I think that by making these cuts, you're going to start to see that, and you're going to start to say, oh, geez, we really could live with maybe we don't need a principal and a vice principal. Maybe, unfortunately, for a little while, we do have to combine those roles, or superintendent and, you know, an acting superintendent and then a vice superintendent. I just feel like we can combine jobs where we need to, because if we can save a para, we can save 4 teachers and combine 2 administrative jobs, let's do it, because I am all for it. And the last thing I will say is, I don't know, maybe you guys, I may have missed it, but did you guys discuss maybe adding 2 schools together, like a K through 5 together? Maybe not specifically, like if you take 3 and you're making them into 2, right? And you keep no more of that banding, and that banding was very silly. Gentleman asked why it's so bad, because when you're a parent and you're trying to drop off 3 different kids to 3 different schools, it's impossible. And then to get them off the bus and everything else. That's it. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. LeRae.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I really wasn't planning on speaking tonight. Bob LeRae, Lacey Township Committee. And the one lady, I didn't catch your name, that was very loud, uses her hands and everything. I really did enjoy you. We could hear you the best in the back. But with that, you said some very important things. Lacey's proud of the people that come out of it, and a lot of it starts with your school systems. Our deputy mayor that came up just a few minutes ago, he's a product of our school system. Myself, I'm a product of the school system. Our town administrator's a product of our school system. A lot of the teachers and the administrators in this town are products of our school system. What's tough to see as we start getting older is not only are they products of our school system, it's our kids, friends, and all becoming teachers and educators within our school system. But with that said, one of the things that I did hear, and it's the biggest reason I came up here, is after the township committee was attacked as the politicians that affect this. As Mr. Kenneth came up and talked about the aid not being cut from the power plant, this is not it's something we're all banned against, is we're all trying to work together. The committees had multiple meetings with the Finance Committee trying to come up with ways to get over this hump. Because in my opinion, this is the biggest issue before this whole town, whether it's the school board or the township committee, because this affects our pocketbooks big time. But with that said, the township committee doesn't have any more control than anybody else. This is a state problem. The state has been bringing it upon us. People have been trying to work towards it. Yes, there's differences of how we could do it and different things, but you gotta remember, this goes way above what the Board of Education or our township committee can do. And with that, I know just recently, because we've been trying to work and not create more conversation, the committee did just send a letter recently to all the board members, and I hope you all got it and read it, because I know that's another problem. People don't read what they're sent. And I know sitting up at Township Committee, I made the comment this last meeting. Yes, I was on the school board too. That was 15 years ago. It was a long time ago. It was back 98 to 2010. When I ran for Township Committee this past year, I didn't expect to be spending more time with school issues than town issues. And like I try to explain to people, you can only spread yourself so thin, but I'm almost spending more time addressing town issues and town questions than we are at the committee. But the committee just recently said in a letter, after consideration, thought, and discussion, the Township Committee writes to you with a shared sense of purpose and concern. We urge the Board of Education to reach a responsible compromise and adopt a budget that reflects our community's collective commitment to the thorough and efficient education of our youth. As elected officials, we understand the difficulty of balancing a fiscal responsibility with the needs and aspirations of the people we serve. Crafting a budget is never easy and is not about winners or losers. It's about making thoughtful decisions that best serve our residents, and in this case, especially our students. We are calling on the board to work collaboratively to fulfill the most important responsibility before you, passing a budget that places students at the forefront. Our children deserve access to the best possible education that our township can provide and afford. And with that starts a budget that supports academic excellence, innovation, and opportunity. So now is the time for unity, a lot of dialogue, leadership, because the future of Lacey Township rests in the hands of the students. So like this last lady had mentioned, let's ensure that they have every opportunity to succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Would anyone else like to speak before we go on to this second round? No? Okay, we're going to miss, no one else, right? Mr. Bidnick, you can come back.
Richard Bidnick, Part 2. Thank you, Jesse, for your kind comments. I've known Jesse since COVID. We've been involved with the masking. We were both charged for coming to a meeting, a school board meeting, fighting for the children to be unmasked in the schools. And that's how we became very close. And she knows me, and she knows, actually, I encouraged her to send her children to school where they're going now because I felt that they would have a better opportunity, and they're thriving. I know that they are. And I just want to say that I really do care about education, but there's a lot of problems. And having been involved with this for 15 years, and I do know a lot. I know a lot more than most people do. That's all I'm going to say, because I've been involved, and there are a lot of issues. And we've had board issues, ethics issues, There's more charges coming up that we, the taxpayers, are going to have to pay for. I mean, this I have a problem with, as we should not be having to pay for these litigations for board members who can't do their actions correctly or follow the law. So quite frankly, it's really an issue. But on another note, putting it lightly, I'm just going to say this. 7 years ago, S2 was passed. The board knew very well that there was going to be major changes to the funding of the school district. Now, I'm going to explain this to you. If you're in business and you know that your top client that's funding you and buying your product is going to be reducing every year majorly what they're going to be giving you, if you really cared about the school district, you would have been planning. You see, I'm a planner. That's the way my mind works. I don't like living in crisis mode. And if you notice, the school the last 7 years has been in crisis mode every year. And the problem is that there has never been a plan. There isn't a plan. And that is the plan, to keep things the way that they are. And that is just not acceptable. And quite frankly, a lot of changes need to happen. And you know what? This too, it's like we, the school district, needs to learn to live within its means. And what I mean by that is just like all of us sitting here have to do in our households. Wouldn't you just love to be able to say, oh, I'm just going to raise the taxes and get an extra $4 or $5 million a year? Wouldn't you just love to say you could live in a $2 or $3 million mansion? These are pipe dreams, I'm saying. But the school needs to, if they really care about the citizens in our town, and this is the issue, because it's not only the school. I'm very actively involved with the township. I go to the meetings. I mean, I'm very, very aware. And there are issues. You can't say everything is just about the kids and say you care about the rest of the people in your town. That isn't fair. It isn't right. And as I said, the educators in our school district love to talk about it takes a village, but that village is very one-sided. And it's just the hypocrisy of all of it, and I'm just speaking honestly. Some people don't like the way that I address things, but you know what? The truth hurts sometimes, and when someone actually throws it in your face and is very honest with you, it can be very difficult to have to deal with. We need to have, I'm just going to tell you this right now, we need a new superintendent. We need somebody who is aggressive. We need somebody who's strong. We need somebody who's fiscally responsible. We need somebody who has a great grasp of how to turn around an underachieving school district.
Excuse me. You should be addressing me, first of all, not the public. And
Make sure your comments reflect to the board. And,
oh, okay.
And
all
we're not
right.
supposed to, yeah.
Okay. It's just where
So
I'm
their
sitting. You
comments.
got me. Usually I'm up there and I'm looking towards you. Okay.
I know, it's all good.
Yeah, it's okay.
Just, you know.
All right, so anyway, it's like we really do need, we have to hire, we need somebody who has the experience of turning around an underperforming school district. Now, somebody said here about the test scores. I mean, I don't know. Do people not understand the state ratings and the tests in the states? And I want to know, like, you make excuses. But quite frankly, there are school districts in the state of New Jersey that constantly excel.
Towards us, please.
That constantly excel at their test scores. And why are they doing it? And what are they doing that we aren't doing?
thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Last
Sorry,
one, and then we're going to
wasn't
close
trying to-
public comment. We're just going to finish up. We already went through. I know.
I didn't think I'd be the last one.
All right, excuse me. Wait, this is our last
Hi, I didn't think I'd be the last one, but my name is Isabella Weiland, and I would like to think that I know some things too. I'm a student in LEH and OCC. I have been for 3 years now, and I'm about to plan my capstone project. I've seen every corner of this school. I've been in sports, I've been in the performing arts, and I try my best to see the best in every single student, regardless of test scores. To preface with, I'm an honor student my whole life and always have been, but I am the worst test taker you've ever seen. If you ask the state of New Jersey, I should be in like elementary school classes right now. But speaking of test scores, so this is actually directly from College Board on the PSAT and SAT test scores. So our school and district average was a 1050, whereas the national average was 1015, and out of all takers averaged together, we're actually at 1030. So we're sitting a good 20 points, even in our district, which is by far not the best one in New Jersey, but sitting way higher than the federal average. I'd like to say that our test scores are pretty good, especially for our region. And then moving on real quick, I have grandparents that live in town. They kind of moved around, but they've always been in Lacey. And I know that they would spend the last dollars in their paycheck every time over to make sure that their grandkids have a good, are taken care of in school. As a kid, we've always been told that we're the future and that we're the new generation that are going to fill all these seats that the other people are leaving us. And now we're being told that we're second to the seniors who have to live their lives in Lacey. And that hardly seems fair to me. To continue, the moral of the story is that taxes are going up everywhere, not just in Lacey. The cost of living is going up, not just here. It's not the school board wants to do a certain thing. I know some teachers in the crowd, Mr. Ryan was talking about math, and the math is that if X, we didn't spend up to the cap for years, and Y, there's a rising cost of living, it leads to problems like these year after year. In conclusion, as a student, the teachers and support staff are what keep me coming in every single day. I have guidance counselors, ground crew people, custodians, and lunch ladies that make coming to school worthwhile that I have seen every day, and I'm only here for 2 periods. I've spoken last year and the year before about this exact same issue. Every year that I've been in high school now, I've had to come to every single one of these meetings and talk. And it's no wholly longer the problem of the board. It becomes a problem of the board is elected officials, and the people that they're being elected to represent are divided. So how are they supposed to come to a consensus?
That's it. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to move on to the superintendent comment, if you have anything else.
Sure.
Okay.
I was wondering if I was going to go a whole meeting without getting insulted, so.
Okay, almost.
So as I stand here tonight, well, good thing we've stayed the normal. All right, I'm here tonight, as I've before, doing everything I can to keep this district stable and keep us from falling into financial and operational trouble. The reality is simple, folks. Our school district needs a budget that responsibly balances the financial burden on our taxpayers and still providing the education that our children deserve. This process has gone on longer than it should have. As a community, I believe we have a legal and moral obligation to ensure a functional budget is in place to support our students, our staff, and the future of this district. Delaying this decision doesn't change the facts. Dragging this process out only creates more uncertainty for our schools, our families, and our community, and I think you felt that a little bit tonight. This budget represents what is necessary, what is required to maintain even a shred of the high-quality district that I've dedicated 22 years of my life to, just to note. Without this budget, we face the very real possibility of deeper cuts, state intervention, and long-term damage to programs, services, and opportunities for our students. I'd also like to thank the Township Committee for their letter. It's not necessarily a letter in support, but it is a letter in support of how we operate and how we do things, and as a community, we need to come together and solve this problem. Thank you, Township Committee.
Thank you.
So, thank you, President Claus.
Great. Okay, now we're going to move on to board member comments, if anyone has a comment. Linda, we're going to start with you. Ms. Walker?
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so listening to everyone, again, your comments from both sides make a lot of sense. But as I guess it was 2 meetings ago when I heard about the banding, I guess I'd heard about it, but I think it's sunk in on what an inconvenience this was going to be for our families. More costs for childcare so they could get to each school to pick up children. The sense of community, as several of you had said, within the school. I know when I was a teacher and then a principal, I knew those kids from the day they walked into my first grade class on to when they left to go to intermediate, and I still communicate with a lot of them today. It's that sense of community and love that you have for your students, and parents, you get involved with the teachers as well. It's a sense of community. I'll keep saying it over and over. So I was against that budget, a couple weeks ago because of this banding, and I said to Kim, are you going back to look at this more closely? Because I know, Will, I know there are a lot of benefits to it as well. But I just had I just can't accept banding in our community for our parents and our students from elementary years. It's horrible. It was a horrible idea, I thought.
Thank
That's
you.
it.
Every community is different, you're right.
You're right.
Mr. Bell, do you have any comments tonight?
Sure. All right. Well, first, I'd like to address my two former statements. One, from a year ago, I did say that I would not stand for another raise in taxes. I hate being educated and finding out I'm wrong. But anyhow, having learned some things over the past year, I do apologize for making that statement. I really think I spoke it out of ignorance. Should not have made a statement like that. And I hope, now if I was Catholic, I'd do penance for it. But I'm Baptist, so I've talked to Jesus about it. He paid the penalty. I should be forgiven by him. Folks, I don't know. But anyhow, moving on, my statement about being Americans, and if we don't like where we live, we can move. I did not say that it was easy to move. We can. Businesses sell all the time. I know, I bought one. And so I apologize if you took that as me attacking your family, but I do believe that life is tough. We have to make tough decisions. If I was so fed up, I'd sell my business and go. But I'm not fed up yet. And so I continue to stay. The idea that taxes will go up, I don't like that. To the idea that there are folks in town that do not have kids in the school, I understand that. My family, meaning myself, my siblings, my children, have not gone to public school. We've lived here 25 years. All three of my boys have gone through a private school. And I've mentioned this before, while continuing to pay taxes in Lacey. I look at it as my contribution to our community. Am I happy that it might be going up? No. But I have to change some things on my end. I look at it this way, my financial home is my responsibility. I can adjust things and make things differently. Used to drop my truck off to get the oil changed. Now I got to change it myself so I can pay my taxes. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But I believe that it's a community's responsibility to keep the children educated. I do believe we need to fight taxes, but I don't think this is the right platform. This is not the place to battle taxes, because the only pawn here is our children. There's a pile of envelopes right over there that were afforded by somebody who took responsibility and said, let's do something. It's been put on the shoulders of the board over and over. Do this, do this, do this, do this. I'm glad to see somebody said, you know what, I'll do this. And I've only seen one taken so far. I would hope by the end of the night those are gone and used. But I don't think this is the right place, the right platform to fight taxes. There is a place, it's called Trenton. We're not all fans of it, but there are fights that can be taken there. And to the lady in the jean jacket that was very passionate, this has nothing to do with her show here. Last board meeting, I got verbally beat up in the parking lot, and she walked me across the parking lot, encouraging me. I wanted to quit. No, I didn't really want to quit, but thank you for your encouraging words and our conversation. If that's the way she is in the classroom, we need to keep our teachers there.
Thank you. Mr. Armato, do you have a comment?
Yes. So I'm a little confused. Tonight, we spoke about the cost of living going up, the cost of food going up. Everything's going up. But we think the cure for it is raising taxes 10%. I don't understand how that math works. As a board member and a longtime resident of Lacey Township, I feel I have a responsibility to speak plainly tonight, even if this meeting may be viewed as a formality. I understand this board has already voted to approve a 9.5% tax increase. But for the record and for the residents who entrusted me with this position, I want it to be clear. I'm opposed to it. With this year's increase added to last year's, we're now looking at nearly 20% school tax hike in just 2 years. That's not just significant, it's alarming. And what has the community received in return? No new programs, not expanded services, not meaningful investment in student outcomes, just the key to open the doors. I've been saying this over and over again. It's just the key to open the doors for another year. This is a tremendous burden to place on our taxpayers, many of whom are already struggling under rising costs. And what's worse, tonight's meeting was scheduled at a time when a large portion of our working class community is still sitting in traffic trying to get home from work, the very people who are most affected by these increases. I, too, had to leave work early just to be here. That tells me that this meeting wasn't set up to encourage participation, but it was to set up a checkbox. We cannot keep making decisions that impact people's wallets without giving them a real voice. And we certainly shouldn't do it at times when many are unable to attend or speak out. I support education. I support our staff. I support our students. But I do not support asking more from our taxpayers without delivering meaningful value in return. We cannot just keep raising taxes and calling it a solution. That is not sustainable, and I will continue to speak against it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Armato, do you have a comment tonight?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight and engaging in this process. And we all come from different perspectives. And a young lady came up and she talked about how do we please a town that's so divided? And I really agree with you wherever you are. You're a very smart young lady. We all care deeply about our town, our schools, and our children's future. I want to thank Rihanna for the printouts, and I'm going to be sure to send one out. I'm not speaking here as a board member. I'm not only speaking here as a board member, I'm speaking as someone who lives here, who understands the sacrifices family makes, and who has loved ones that will be directly impacted by our decisions. My great niece, she's 3 years old, she lives with me, and she'll be starting pre-K here in Lacey this fall. So like every parent, grandparent, or guardian in this community, I want the very best for her, a strong education in a town that remains affordable to live in. 12 months ago, and I know Dan just talked about it, in June 2024, 7 members of this board sat in these very seats and looked this community in the eye, stating this would be the last tax increase. It was 9.9%. It was a one-time emergency. They said it wouldn't happen again. But here we are again, 12 months later, being asked to raise taxes another 9.9% or 9.5% after the state's temporary incentive is applied. That's nearly a 20% tax increase in just 24 months. So just let's talk some dollars. A $300,000 home, $407 more this year. That's an estimated $800 in over 2 years, considering adding in last year's. A $400,000 home, $525 more this year, and estimated $1,000 over the last 2 years. A $500,000 home, $655 more this year, and estimated $1,300 totaling over 2 years. And Dan, you know, I heard your comments, and that's great. You don't have a family of maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 people living with you at home, but a lot of people have a lot of people living in their home. So when you say, you know, you're just going to change your own oil, that might work for you, but it might not work for others. It might mean feeding your children cereal. That doesn't include municipal increases that will come later. This new base increase is permanent. It will never go away. So next year, when another emergency arises, and it will because there's no state funding that's coming to save us, the district will ask for another 9 or 10%, and you're still paying this year's and last year's hikes on top of that. Even after your children graduate, move on, and leave Lacey, you will still be paying. Taxes don't go down, they go up, and they stay up. And that's exactly why New Jersey implemented a 2% cap on school tax increases. to protect residents from exactly this kind of compounding burden. A 2% cap gives families the ability to budget with some sense of security. When the waivers are used, the board can ignore the cap and raise taxes by any amount, 7, 10, 14, maybe even 29%. It's not sustainable, responsible, or fair. And let's address the phase we hear every year. It's for the kids. We all love our children. We wouldn't be here if we didn't. We all value public education, but let's be clear, raising taxes is not the same as helping kids. Raising taxes is not a strategy. It's an admission that we've created one. We haven't created one. We raised taxes 9.9% last year and we're still in crisis. And the only solution this board can come up with is to dig deeper into the taxpayers' pockets. But we have no long-term plan, just another one-year Band-Aid. Meanwhile, renters, small businesses, and it's not that easy just to sell a small business, seniors and working family, everyone pays. We talk about Lacey Pride, about building a legacy, about generations who graduate and stay in this community. But what kind of legacy are we leaving when we price the next generation out of their homes, their own hometown, if they can't afford it? When people can't afford to stay in the town they love, it's not progress. We've failed them. And let me be clear, we already play our fair share. We stepped up last year in good faith. We pay our 3% or our 2%, but now we're being asked to accept the unacceptable. After tonight, when this passes, Lacey Township will have raised school taxes 20% in just 2 years. Where does it end? Will the breaking point for residents be 20%, 30%, 40%, or 50%? Because it's going to happen. And then the cuts will have to be made, and now you're going to be stuck with a higher tax burden. And finally, to the public watching tonight, I want you to ask yourself this. What was the point of all the comments tonight? What was the point of the presentation? And what is the point of this meeting? Because over a week ago, our acting superintendent sent a letter to the state of New Jersey requesting a deadline extension. And in the letter, he wrote, "We are confident that we have 5 affirmative votes to get the new 25-26 final budget with a 9.9% tax levy increase passed." How can he be so confident unless the votes were already counted? And how were the votes counted unless the board members were called and polled in advance? That's what a straw poll is. It's an informal, private head count before a public vote passes. And if that's true, this meeting was all theater. So we've been here for 2 hours and it would be theater. It would be a waste of your time and all of ours. That's not transparency. It's politics behind closed doors, and it's potentially a violation of the Open Public Meetings Act. And when decision about public money is made before the public even speaks, it erodes trust. It silences voices. It disrespects the very people we were elected to serve. And if so, that raises a serious concern. The public has a legal right to witness the deliberation before decisions are made and not just after the fact when votes are cast. I know some here tonight support this tax increase, and I respect that. I know your support comes from a place of care for children, for our schools, and for our town. But supporting education and demanding fiscal responsibility are not mutually exclusive. We can believe in both. Tonight, I want every person in this room, whether we agree or not, to know this. I see you, I hear you, and I will continue fighting for a system that honors all voices, not just the ones behind closed doors. Tonight, I would ask the board to vote no, but I already know the answer and how we're voting. Thank you.
Mr. Peters, do you have anything you'd like to add?
How do I go with this? First of all, I'm going to start off, it just amazed me how there's so many mind readers here, how we're voting tonight.
It was in a letter.
Excuse me, I'm not talking to you right now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let Mr. Peters speak.
So,
It's his turn.
it just amazed me that numerous people have made comments about how we're going to vote and how we did vote and what was going to happen and whatnot. Well, also, I'm impressed with some people came up and had some very good comments. And some people come up to the microphone just to get more clicks. It's simple. More clicks off the internet, that's what they're trying to do. There were some good points made. There were some bad points made. Some people made some comments regarding Trenton. You guys got to remember, we are a Republican town and a Democratic state. When we do go to Trenton, and I've been there for COVID, I've been there, and it comes on deaf ears. Nothing happens. I've seen I've been there with 4,000 and 5,000 people, and I've seen the buses there. It doesn't happen. You know where it's going to change? Right now, when you make your election, when you pick up that piece of paper and you send it in there, when you go to the polls, that's going to make the difference in this funding formula for this town. So remember that when you go to the polls. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Conity, would you like to add?
Just a few small things. We had a formula that the state gave to us. And Ms. Ormsby and everybody prior went off of those numbers. And the state released the actual numbers. They've been way more than what we were told through the formula, which is a whole nother issue. Haluka, we're listening to both sides of it. May not look that way, but we're listening. Keep on cutting out the staff and increasing class sizes is not going to help increase the test scores as some people like to see. Two things actually that struck a chord in the last 2 weeks is when I'm being told that somebody that sits up here wants to gut the school district and build it from the ground up. That's a problem. My kids go here. And for somebody to sit up here and want to rip everything out to the ground and then try to build it up, first of all, I guess you don't understand how it works. It's not the answer either. Nothing else.
Thank you. A few things were said tonight during our board comments that I'd like to clarify. This is our first vote for the 9.9. We haven't voted on it before, so that was incorrect. There was no straw polling. The board members were all called after we learned that we had another chance. And I said, what's important to you? We're having another vote, if we can come out and vote again. Everything that came back from the board members were the grade banding. Every board member, probably 3 weeks prior, were given packets of 14%, 9.9%, 7.57, 7.2, 3%. Grade banding was the 9.9%. So no grade banding was the 9.9. So honestly, I don't know where the 5 votes came from in the letter, because I don't know if 5 votes. Hopefully we'll get 5 votes tonight.
I wrote that letter. I was trying to get appeal to the state.
Right.
So I wrote
So,
that letter.
but to accuse anybody of straw polling, have an accusation is just, it's just not right.
It was in a letter to the state.
We're doing one at a time.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I'm just saying it was in a letter to the state.
I understand, but you're insinuating that there was straw polling. So
then
anyway.
should we question his
Hold on, guys, we're
integrity
doing one at a time.
or the
Hey,
facts?
guys, we're doing one at a time. We also.
Should we
There's a
question
set
the
of rules.
integrity or the facts?
Do you want to know the
Guys,
facts?
one at a time.
Did he lie to the state and said he had 5 votes?
Hey, it's one at
Or
a time.
did their
Sal,
straw poll
Sal,
happen?
Stop. But the issue, Sal, is that when we had our conversation after I called you,
Comment
texted
not to
you.
be. Come on.
Okay. So anyway, we're going to move on to the vote. I'm hoping the board votes yes, because our community needs stability. We don't have stability. Again, it would go back to the state, and we don't know what that means. So, you know, the teachers are trying to prepare for next year. The administrators are trying to prepare. We can't do that. So I'm asking the board to please vote yes tonight, and I'm hoping we do get the 5 votes. All right, let's move on. You ready? Okay, we're going to vote on number 9, adoption of 2025-26 school year budget. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll move that.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Amato?
No.
Mr. Peters?
Yes.
Mr. Bell?
Yes.
Mrs. Armato?
No.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Conity?
Yes.
And Mrs. Claus?
Yes. Okay, this budget passes. Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
Motion, Peters.
All in favor?
Aye.
That was extra.